Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Musical Innertube. I'm Don Rooney.
And I'm John Timpane. You know, Don's had quite a career in radio and television, where he's been an air personality, a news anchor, even a TV weatherman.
And John's been a college professor. He's written several books, and he's been an editor and features writer at the Philadelphia Inquirer newspaper.
We first teamed up for a radio show in college. On one show, we introduced a soothing musical interlude.
But we stumbled, and it came out Musical Innertube.
And that became the name for this here podcast, where we talk with interesting people about their interesting lives. Difference makers who really make a difference.
The coroner just reported that your friend didn't die from natural causes. He was murdered.
I'd like to file a claim on a policy I just opened.
She's not trying to leave. That means she's hiding something.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Just make sure you have good people around you.
Any of y'all could have taken that damn money.
Not really sure who that is anymore.
How about you leave the detective work to me?
I'm gonna make you sorry that you ever came up here.
With everything going on, it's not a good idea to be sneaking around.
You can't just make statements and not tell me what's going on.
You trying to figure out who killed Makai, right?
Who are you? Tonight? Retribution.
Today on the Musical Innertube, we welcome Andrew Fountain, filmmaker, producer, writer, director, and founder of 12-3 Productions.
Andrew's made a couple of short films on his way to writing, directing, and producing his first feature film, False Pretenses. It will have its debut in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where I am right now, and it's Andrew's hometown, on Thanksgiving Day. And the film will be available to download beginning on Thanksgiving Day as well at falsepretensesthemovie.com. Andrew, welcome to the Musical Innertube.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Let's talk about False Pretenses. Give us a little bit of without spoilers, a little bit of what the movie's about.
Okay. So False Pretenses is a story about 8 friends. They decide to start up a savings community called a Susu. And it has been 1 year since they've been contributing to it. So they head up to the Poconos so they can disperse the first round of money. And one of them mysteriously gets killed. So now we have to figure out who the murderer is.
You know, it's interesting. I heard that a savings community was going to be part of this movie. And I'd read about them before, but can you talk about how you learned about them? And because this is a very original story to start off with, that it takes place in this kind of arrangement.
So I originally heard of it. It was actually presented to me in like a pyramid scheme. Like 2-3 years ago, there was this big thing where you had to download this app. You would join a savings community. Then you had to bring 2 people in. Then they had to bring 2 people in. And it really was like a pyramid scheme. But through that, though, I did some more investigative research and I realized what a real savings community was. And a real savings community, no one really gets ahead. You know what I'm saying? It's more so you get the lump sum at this time than someone else does. And there's no get rich quick. You know what I mean? There's never going to be a get rich quick. But if you do put the time in and you have the community, each one of you will have an opportunity to get that lump sum where you can really do something with it. So that was, you know what I mean? I thought that would be a great idea just to bring to the story. You know what I mean? Because whenever you're contributing, you know what I mean, every week or every month to a savings community and a year goes by, you could do something with that money. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, that was it. Like I thought each one of them would have a different motive for needing that money at that time at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Well, we all do, don't we? After a year, you've been putting your money in there and we all have some motives, don't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that was the next question I was going to ask is, I guess, in the lead up to the murder and then the mystery of whodunit, you probably introduce all of the characters and let them explain why they need the money and where they are in their particular lives at that point.
Absolutely. And everyone needs it for different things. You know what I mean? And what's important to you is important to you. We have some health concerns. We have people that want to invest it into a particular business. You know what I mean? Everyone has a different reason for wanting the money. And yeah, so like the good thing that I really appreciate with this movie is I took the time to really develop the characters and drive out the story. You know what I mean? I didn't want to rush it or anything. So if you're looking for that movie that's done in like an hour, 15 hour, 20 20 minutes, this isn't it. I took my time and really wanted to develop the story.
So you've said that the movie includes some character types that we haven't seen either before or enough of. Could you elaborate on that? Or you don't have to give us all of the people. Maybe just choose one character that you feel you haven't seen enough of in movies that appears in this one.
Oh my, well, all right. So this is the first time, at least that I can think of, where in a murder mystery, you have an all black cast or all cast of people of color and everything like that. So that sheer thing, you're going to get diverse characters, that we haven't really seen before.
Yeah.
We got and I tried my best to stay away from stereotypes. Like I didn't want people to come to the theater or to stream it and say, oh, I've seen this before, anything like that. Each one of them has different motives. I'm trying hard not to give it away because just by their personality, it kind of will, but you're going to see people of color that really have different dreams and aspirations. This isn't, you're not going to see the shoot 'em up, bang, bang, or, the women with like the tight fitting dresses and like this isn't that. This is people that really have a well thought out story behind them.
Are we talking about young people and the kind of people that you have encountered in your life as a black man working your way through various cities and various situations? These are people, regular everyday people that you have met along the way. Is that right?
Absolutely. I draw definitely from regular everyday life. So you're going to see those, and these are young adults. So you're going to see the ones that do want to open up a business, or the ones that, want to, all right. So I'm just going to give this one away here. You have one young lady whose child needs kidney transplant, health issues. So you can definitely see, where she's looking at it from. You have someone that wants to invest in apartment buildings, So all of the characters are trying to do something or trying to be about something, And so, and they all have different motives.
In a way, what characters want, it really becomes the whole character in some ways. It really comes to define the whole character. And that's really true about money, isn't it? That when you need a chunk of cash, suddenly it's all about that. You might be going through other things, right? But in the situation of having a child that needs an operation, a kidney transplant, for example, no matter how it breaks, that's going to cost some money, no matter how good your insurance is. And suddenly it's just the dominant, it becomes an obsession. This is life, isn't it?
This is life, And if you just think about it, like what extremes will a mother go to save her child's life? Just to give you like another kind of sneak peek here, there's also a gentleman that he's feeling pressure from his girlfriend. You know what I mean? Because she wants to she wants to live a certain standard of life and everything like that. So he's kind of stuck in the middle because he has his girlfriend telling him how important it is that he gets the money. And then he has his best friend who is actually the leader of the group that tells him, we're doing this fair. We're doing this straight up. I can't help you. So he's stuck in the middle, and then you have some other characters that they did it and they didn't really know what they wanted to do. They just knew that this was a good thing to be a part of, So everyone, everyone has a different motivation. Although the last one I gave you really wasn't that good. The main character, whose name is Justin, he's stuck at home living with his grandmother in the basement. You know what I mean? So this money is his way to kind of get back out there on his own 2 feet and, you know what I mean? Get back to living.
You have some pretty impressive people in the cast too. Why don't you talk about some of the people that are acting for you?
Oh, I think that the cast is going to blow people away. Mainly Gary Sturgis. He is the #1 scene stealer. You may have seen him from some Tyler Perry films, but Gary just commands the room. Like he has a very distinctive voice, and it's so weird whenever you see it because whenever the camera's not rolling, he's the nicest guy on earth. And the second you say action, he just becomes this tour de force. Like he's like a hurricane that just, takes over everything. So we were really blessed to have him on set. Brian Wilson, he was also of The Wire. You may have seen him on some Law and Orders. he's from Philadelphia, you know what I mean? And he's looking to support any of the Philadelphia artists that he can. And then we had Derek Hammond. And so Derek Hammond, people may not know, and he may even get mad at me for saying this, but I brought his name up, so, you know what I mean, it happens. He's actually the first cousin of like Will Smith. So he brought a lot of experience to the set. He did some work on like Men in Black 3, and he served as the DP and the editor. And he really was paramount in helping me out to get the shots that we needed and to make sure everything was flowing right. So I definitely can't mention the other two vets without mentioning Derek, because he was instrumental. And, you know what I mean, how this film is going to look and what the crowd sees.
Now, did you go on location up to the Poconos to film this? And if so, did you have a nice little family thing going on with all of the cast and crew?
We did. So we went up to the Poconos 3 different times. The first one was just to do like a teaser trailer to give people an idea like what the film may look like. The second time was actually filming. That was 3 weeks. And we took over the cabin. We actually took over 2 cabins for 3 weeks. And while we were doing the filming, that was intense. That was definitely intense, because we were probably doing close to, man, at least 13-hour days, 6 days a week. You know what I mean? Because while these people over here were able to rest, I was able to pull these people over here. You know what I mean? So the crew will tell you, like, I really did, I pushed them hard up there. Like, any opportunity that we had to shoot or anything, there was always something to be done. And whenever you live where you work, you're definitely going to do more hours than what you're supposed to.
That's right. Was there a fair amount of ad-libbing as you went from shot to shot? Or did people stick to the script? I'm always interested in that when people are making a movie.
And you know what? I constantly tell the cast, if you stick to the script, then you're not doing, you know what I mean, what you should be doing. Like, yeah, I need you to become the character. You know what I mean? Get the spirit for what it is I'm trying to say, but then say it how your character would say it. So I love the ad-libbing. I you know, please, by all means, do that. And if it's too much, I'll tell you, you know what I mean, ease up a little bit. Like with Gary Sturgis, there were several times I'd be like, Gary, you got to calm down a little bit. You know, yeah, like you're a little too intense, you know, and I was trying my hardest to like keep the swearing down to a minimum. Like I was really trying my hardest because my dream is Thanksgiving Day for families to be able to sit down and watch this. You know what I mean? And when Gary came on, Gary was just going at it. And I'd be like, Gary, you know what I mean? And then there was that. Finally, I just quit. I said, you won. You know what I mean? So
yeah, we can always do it in post.
Right.
Yeah. When we talk about people needing money, you're probably right up there on the top when you're putting the film together. You need money. How did you get the funds together for this thing?
Really?
By hook or by crook. Like literally. Okay. Now, let me just say this first and foremost. I had the support of great family and friends, you know what I mean, that were willing to invest in me and everything. But that still left a wide gap. I had investors. I was doing any and everything. I was doing comedy shows once a month, you know what I mean, to try to raise money. I think we did a bake sale like 2 times.
All right.
Literally, like anybody, if your number was in my phone, you got a text message saying, we need your support. We need donations. You know what I mean? Yep. So, yeah, it was constantly trying to fit my paycheck. I haven't spent the paycheck on me in like 2 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was literally by any means necessary.
I think a lot of people don't sufficiently appreciate just how much movie making is about money, that you have to go out and find it. It doesn't just come out of the air or anything, and you find it in a lot of different places. And I mean, I have 2 family members who are both independent filmmakers of different sorts, and the first thing that they do is like create 20 GoFundMes, you know, and ask people, well, you know, could you, you know, I mean, I get hit up by one or another of them, and I like to be part of a thing like this, but that's what you really, people don't realize. You spend most of the time, if you're a filmmaker, looking for a way to finance your baby, aren't you?
It's all about the money. You know what I mean? The money is just about as important as the movie, you know? And if you are fortunate enough to find some people that are willing to invest in you, I think the important thing is knowing that there's no dollar amount that's too small, whether 20, 50, 100, 500, 1,000, you know what I mean? And that's why it really has to be at the forefront of your mind, and you have to stay focused on it, because you see like the nickels and dimes and everything like that, but they do add up over time, and it can always be used to go towards something with the film.
Did you find a situation where you were filming and you had gotten up to a certain point and you needed a little more funding to do the next leg of filming, or did you pretty much secure all that money before you headed out?
No. So whenever we had to do reshoots, and this was such a crazy experience, we had to do reshoots. The cabin wasn't inexpensive. Like it cost a pretty penny to rent. You know what I mean? And literally, by the time you get the cast up there, because we had people from New York, Baltimore, Atlanta, Philadelphia, like everywhere. So you got to get them all up there, you know, got to get all of the equipment, you know, the crew and everything, food, because you got to feed them. And so whenever we did reshoots, every single step of the way, it literally was prayers on how are we going to pay for this next thing. Like the cast and crew didn't even know what was going on. But the day of that everyone was driving up there, I still had not secured all of the money for the cabin. Like, and no one knew. You know what I mean? Like, people would be, and then like once we did that, like it was literally just getting to the next step. Because after the cabin, I was supposed to be taken to a mansion. They never knew that I hadn't secured the mansion yet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like the whole time, they're downstairs and they're laughing and joking, not even know me and my team is upstairs trying to figure out, all right, how are we going to get to the next step? And that's the beauty of being a producer. It's whenever the storm is going on around you, being able to remain calm and keep everyone else calm. Like, you know, you're on a need to know basis. So if you don't need to know, I'm not going to tell you what's going on until I have to tell you what's going on. You know what I mean? And figuring things out. That's the beauty of being a producer. And I truly do love that aspect of it.
I mean, you have to be multi-talented. I mean, the joke about being a producer of a movie or a producer of a stage show is, you know, the question is, well, what does a producer actually do? And the answer is what nobody else wants to do or can do. That you,
right.
It's not right. There's not a real description. It's that you have to be ready, really, to step into the breach. And if it's money that you need, fine. If it's food,
yeah,
you know,
any and everything. Like
equipment.
There is that should be the job description of producer. Everything.
We'll return to the musical Innertube in just a moment, but first, this soothing musical interlude.
Andrew J. Fountain is a director, writer, and producer in Philadelphia. He founded 12-3 Productions to use films to tell stories he rarely saw as a young black man growing up.
Andrew's first short, No Cash Refunds, premiered in Philadelphia's Five Shorts program and was recognized as an audience favorite. Wanting to give an honest exploration of America's treatment of black women through the lens of black men, Andrew produced Queens, a short film selected for the New York Hip Hop Film Festival.
Find out more about Andrew's movie, False Pretenses, including how to order it online, by going to falsepretensesthemovie, all one word, .com, falsepretensesthemovie.com. Andrew also has a Facebook page for the movie at facebook.com/falsepretensesmovie.
And now, back to the musical Innertube, already in progress.
How did you come to name your production company 12-3? Is there a significance to that?
That's actually my birthday. So whenever I started out decided I wanted to, start my own production company, it was literally just me, you know what I mean? And I said, what will look cool on the big screen? You know, and if you actually look at the logo, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's 12-3 Productions, but it's a baby picture of me when I was sitting on the toilet, and my grandmom took it, I'm on the phone. And so, you know how like grandparents, like they always take like those embarrassing photos of you and everything like that?
Oh, yeah.
You know, but for me, it just signified that even at a young age, I knew that I was going to be doing something like this. You know what I mean? So that's how it ended up becoming the logo.
What made you decide to start a film production company and get into filmmaking?
I got into filmmaking. I had got laid off from work. I had just been recently divorced. And I was like, this is the worst I've ever felt in my entire life. Well, I tell you what, though, if if I'm going to, have to go through something like this, I'm at least going to do it doing something I love. And so, filmmaking is something that I've been passionate about ever since, like, I've been writing scripts since I was like in the 6th grade, but I never fully committed to it. And so whenever I went through the layoff and the divorce, I said, you know what, I'm going to finally commit to this, because it really would have been the one thing I would have regretted had I not done in this lifetime. You know what I mean? Like, I truly would have, that would have been my one regret above anything else. And so I said, well, if that's it, then that's what we got to go do. And so that was how I jumped into it head first.
You made a couple of short films too. Tell us about those.
Short films. Well, so my first one was called No Cash Refunds. And my recommendation to anyone that's trying to get into filmmaking and everything is just write about what you know. I work in a jewelry store, so I've seen all types of situations come in and go and everything. And so my first one was just a story about a young man. He had cheated on his girlfriend. He decided to get her to propose to her to kind of show her that he was serious, and he still gets rejected. Tries to return the ring back to the jewelry store, and they got a no cash refunds, policy. So, and it was, humorous comedy and everything like that. But the first one, I just wanted to see, am I able to do this? And so that was the way that I went about it. So luckily, the store that I even had gotten laid off from, they let me go back there and make this short film.
Oh, nice.
Right. Yeah. So I appreciated that. You know what I mean? That was enough for me to get my beak wet. And then the second one was called Queens. And I really wanted to just take a look at Black men's treatment of Black women. You know what I mean? And do Black women feel supported by Black men? Because at the time, it was crazy in the world. You had Trump yelling at all of the Black women support reporters down in D.C. You know what I mean? Domestic violence was, kind of rising up there and everything. And so I just really kind of wanted to examine, do Black women feel supported by Black men? And so right when that was getting ready to drop, that's when COVID hit.
Oh.
Yeah, like literally, I remember I was getting ready to have my premiere, and then COVID hit and shut down all of the theaters. You know what I mean? Literally right after I had sold out, actually, they shut down all the theaters. So that one actually never got to come out. And I'm going to release it one day. Just don't know when I'm going to do that. I actually planned on doing that with False Pretenses. But then with the runtime of False Pretenses, I just decided to keep it all about that. And so
that's very interesting. I mean, you could have kind of an Andrew Film Festival, mini Andrew Film Festival, by starting with the short, and going with the full length. I mean, I if I were you, I'd love that idea.
You know what? I'm so nervous too, because the first 2 shorts was like kind of and I'm still learning and being educated and growing and everything like that. But I was so roughed in, you know what I mean? I would sit there and cringe. Like, we just did a private screening for False Pretenses in Atlanta. And there were some things where, like, I was so glad it was a private screening. Like, sound was missing in some areas and things like that, things that just needed to be fixed and everything. And it was cringeworthy. You know what I mean? Not that the film was bad at all. There was just technical things that we needed to do. You know what I mean? That's why you have private screenings. So I was happy about that. But I cringe every time I see a mistake on the screen. I do.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. You said earlier, and I guess it's true, but, you're talking about an experience that you've had that a lot of directors don't. And that is, a lot of directors are people who have lived in a different world than you, and you're trying to bring your world to the movie-going public. So you mentioned earlier, write what you know. I mean, that's something that a lot of writers are told, especially now. I guess filmmakers, you're right. They should probably start from a place where they know what they're doing and they have that confidence. So how difficult was it for you to convince investors and other people that you wanted to give your vision out there and that it was a little different from what was already out there?
How hard was it? I think the smartest thing that I did was I did the teaser trailer before I really start going after investors. I was able to show them the vision. And, that really did make a huge difference. I think the other part, though, is the work. People have to see you working. If all you're doing is saying, gimme, 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 then it's not going to happen for you. Like, people have to know that you're invested in it yourself. Like I said, I haven't spent a paycheck on myself in probably 2 years. And my investors know that because I don't stop. You know what I mean? Like, just because this one investor says no, I'm still going to keep moving and I'll figure it out along the way. So, yeah, I think that's one of the main things that's important for your investors to see is your work ethic. And you know what I mean? And to know how invested in the film you truly are. No one's going to invest in you until you invest in yourself.
I saw something that you said in another interview that I thought was wonderful, and I'd love you to talk more about it. You had mentioned that you got your love of murder mysteries from your mom, because you spent a lot of time sitting and watching TV with your mom, and your mom's a huge murder mystery fan. And the thing that I love about this, and I want you to tell us more about that, but all of us did. All of us spent a lot of time watching TV with our parents, you know, and we absorb their interests and their tastes, and we find out what life's about sometimes just by sitting around and watching TV. I mean, we all did it. We're Americans, for God's sake, you know. But I'm just wondering about your experience and your mom's tastes.
Oh, well, actually, it still even happens to this day. Like, if I come see her like on the weekends or a holiday or something like that, and there's a marathon going on, you know what I mean? We'll sit down and literally for 3-4 hours at minimum, you know what I mean? We're watching, you know what I mean, the same programming. And back then it was Murder, She Wrote. That may be her favorite. And over time, it becomes mine too. So now, you know what I mean? As soon as the episode starts, we're trying to figure it out. We're talking about it. It really did become a great piece of our bonding experience. You know what I mean? Like, that was our thing. And I who doesn't like a good murder mystery? Like, what is there not to like about that? You know what I mean? It engages you, you know, and you have to be a very clever writer to fool the audience, or not even to fool them, but to reveal it in a way that makes it satisfying. And so that was the thing that me and her really sat back and enjoyed, was those murder mysteries. And you had In the Heat of the Night, Murder, She Wrote, Columbo, Magnum PI. I'm forgetting the one with Andy. He was a lawyer. I can't believe I'm forgetting this one. But you know, there was just so many good murder mysteries.
That's quite a list. I mean, that's quite a list. It's, you know,
it was, you know, in the 80s and 90s, it was huge. There really should be like more. You know what I mean? Luckily, we have Peacock now where you can catch a lot of those old shows on.
I'm sure that's what you and your mom are watching every holiday, right? Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, they work on so many levels, don't they? Because from one aspect, I mean, you're a filmmaker, so I think that murder mysteries, one of the things they offer us are structured stories, right? They have a structure to them, whatever the structure may be, and the parts sort of, they hang off of each other, and you can sort of feel them building. And then they also, so if you like structured storytelling, you've got them there. And some of the best shows are always murder mysteries for that reason, just some of the best made shows. But also, you get a chance to test your mind against that of the storyteller to see if you can figure it out, right? And
absolutely. And that's what for the Black audience, I thought that's what they were ready for, the challenge of you versus the movie. Can you figure this out? Do you even have the attention span to watch the entire thing? You know what I mean? Because so often films that are catered to us are either the gang stories, you know what I'm saying? Or a rom-com, or like, there really wasn't any things that were made for that audience that challenged them. And I just think that we're in a different time right now where, you know, they would like that challenge. You know what I mean? If it's catered to them.
You know, I was going to just follow up for just a second on one thing that you did say, is that your feeling is that, you know, genre movies like the one that you're doing haven't taken African-American audiences seriously enough as moviegoers, right? They've tried to just go the way of, well, I wouldn't say blaxploitation, but you started by commenting that, you know, you were tired of a lot of a lot of the stereotypes that one sees in films made, well, seemingly for that audience. And it seems that part of what you're operating out of is that frustration. You want to see something more.
Yeah, I do. And it's more than, it's a layered answer. It is, first off, I want to watch something different. That's the main thing. Two, I think that's my contribution to the world. You know what I mean? Like you have to still do something that fulfills a purpose and everything. And I would love to be part of the voice that begins to show people of color in a different light. You know what I mean? Over the last 3-4 years, some of the things that have happened in this country have just been, you know what I mean? They've been terrible. They disgusting. You know what I mean? Just in terms of race and racism and race relations and everything like that. And so I think a lot of that has to do with just perception and how people are perceived. So if I can begin to be one of those people that changes that narrative and then, you know what I mean, begins to bridge it, then, you know what I mean? Like, making films is cool and everything, but if you're not doing it with a purpose, if you're not doing it and using your voice for something specific, then, you know what I mean, what's the point in it? And so I definitely want to bring people together.
Now, I know that you're operating on an independent level and you don't have a big studio behind you, but we have seen in the last few years a few Black directors step up with the superhero film with Black Panther. Ryan Coogler has done
yes,
wonder with that. And Jordan Peele has all those horror movies out
Monkey Paw.
Based with Black artists and the Black experience. So do you feel that we're starting to get the ball rolling in the right direction that way?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the ball, I mean, it's certainly better than it was 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure in 10 years from now, we'll be better than we are right now, you know, but you can't just wish for something like that to happen. People have to be actively moving in that direction. So I do believe, one of the things I do believe is that change is generational. You know what I mean? Like nothing is going to be fixed in 1, 2, 3 years or anything like that. But I do think that this next generation is going to be in a much better place than what this one is, you know? Yeah. And there's just a lot more ways to get, you know, what you're saying out there nowadays. You know, used to be you had to wait on the system and everything like that. I mean, even look at what we're doing right now. We're doing a podcast, you know what I'm saying, that anyone in the world would be able to see. You know what I mean? And we didn't have that type of technology 10 years ago. So I definitely believe that we're heading in the right direction.
And what about you? What is your future hold? Are you going to continue to make films? And if so, and are you going to do it independently, or if a studio comes calling, are you open to that?
Definitely going to continue making films. I'm actually working on a script right now. So definitely want to continue doing that. I like indie, but I'm not going to lie, I also like money. So I'll look at, you know what I mean, each scenario, you know what I mean, as it comes through. I'll take it, you know what I mean, one situation at a time. So
and this False Pretenses on Thanksgiving Day, that's when it drops. Can we see it in movie theaters? Can we see it online? Are both happening? Can you tell us?
So the last show, I'm doing a premiere in Harrisburg at Regal Cinemas. Unfortunately, though, that has already sold out. It sold out about a week ago, but people can still stream it at their home. FalsePretensesTheMovie.com. You can go there and either rent or buy it, and then be able to watch the film from the comfort of your own home. Once again, that's FalsePretensesTheMovie.com. I want to make sure we catch that part.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody should definitely catch that.
Yes.
Hey, this is fantastic.
Really
the
is.
movie sounds great. I think I'm going to be watching it, if not Thanksgiving Day, then pretty soon after that. Okay. And I want to be watching for the other stuff you've done too, because it looks like you're headed in the right direction and you're ready to have a really terrific career. We'd like to follow along on it. So thanks very much for being with us today, and good luck with this movie and all the others you're going to do.
You bet.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Musical Innertube.
Check out our website at musicalinnertube.com, where you'll find all our episodes, profiles of our guests, and lots of extras. You'll even be able to leave us a voicemail.
Our email address is musicalinnertube@gmail.com. On Twitter, our handle is minnertube. Capitalize the M and I.
The Innertube is available on Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio podcasts. Like us and give us a good review on any of those platforms.
And as always, thanks to virtual band Car Radio Dog for our theme music.